Second.
Hi guys, this is Forge from Iron. As you can see, I'm here with James from the Anvil. How are you, James?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad, my friend. Not doing too bad. So, only the small matter of Manchester City coming up, mate. Give me your thoughts.
I can see. Well, the thing with this City game is they're chasing 20 wins in a row, aren't they? So I've been looking at some statistics. I actually was recording my Opposition Uncovered before I was coming on this, and I'm about halfway through that. But what I was saying in that briefly is the fact that City haven't lost a Premier League game since November 21st. And in that time, they've kept 13 clean sheets, which is, defensively speaking, a Premier League winning start. The fact that they're keeping everything solid at the back. They got Cancelo and Diaz in there. Diaz is potentially going to be signing of the season because of how solid he's made their back line. They're a team that has faced challenges this season, but they've learned to grow through that. Aguero not being in the team hasn't helped on paper, but they've managed to find some solutions within. So they've called unlikely shots with Foden and Gundogan stepping up to the mark. Sterling's had to step up in Aguero's absence. And City are, a world-class team. They've got world-class players. They're going to win the league and even more than that this season. So it's going to be deadly to play against when we play them on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, just as we're saying here, James, we've got another guest that's just popped on. I was just drag him in. Here he comes. A little bit of a celebrity on the West Ham YouTube circuit. How are you doing, James?
James,
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm good, lads. I'm good. Good. Nervous. Nervous for Saturday.
No, we'll be fine. They're on a 19-game winning streak. It's got to end at some point, hasn't it? Why not Saturday? Why not Saturday?
I'll be honest with you, it's a good time to play them. Yeah, again, it's another game that falls right in our favour. 12:30 kickoff. They played last night against German opposition. I'm not sure whether it was in Germany or neutral venue.
It was in Hungary.
It was in Hungary, so they've had to travel. It's falling in our favour at the right time yet again.
And here he is at last.
Evening, gentlemen.
Very unprofessional, Mr. Stribling. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad, buddy. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Just discussing with the lads their thoughts on the Man City game upcoming. Like I say, nice easy fixture to break into the weekend.
Yeah, well, listen, at the end of the day, I think the phrase goes, to be the best, you've got to beat the best. And at some point, it doesn't matter. The Premier League season's set out, you have to play everyone twice. If I'm honest with you, if I was Pep and I was the City players, I wouldn't fancy taking us on Saturday, especially first thing. If I was in their shoes, I think I was watching Gonzo Hammer's chat, I think yesterday, and he turns around and he says, we don't have just one fixed point now. We don't have one point, focal point of the team. Souček can break from deep, appear at the far post, out of bloody nowhere, gets his head on the end of things, scores plenty of goals from set pieces, everything else. But you can't man mark him because he's too deep. Antonio is just a bully. He's very bullish in what he does. He's very strong. You saw what he did to the West Brom player earlier in the season. Well, I say earlier in the season, a few games back when he went shoulder to shoulder and the poor sod ended up in row triple Z, I think, in the upper stand at the London Stadium because he went flying. So, we've got more than one bow, one arrow in our quiver, if you will. So, as far as I'm concerned, we've got probably 4 or 5 different avenues of attack, 4 or 5 different players that we can, use to our own advantage. So, you're going to have to work it out on Saturday in the sense of trying to make sure that they've got all angles covered with regards to us. I don't think they're going to certainly find it as easy as they think it's going to. But don't get me wrong, I'm certainly, as much as I sound like I'm talking confident, it's going to be a difficult game. Very, very difficult game. They're a very, very good side. I think I read somewhere it's 17 in all competitions, 18 in all competitions after last night.
19 now. 19.
Right, yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Like I say, to be the best, you've got to be the best. We've got to go out there. We've got to take them on. We can't. It's not like we can just go, no, we give this one a miss. Thanks very much anyway. So, listen, I am confident. I think we can get a point. If we get a point, I think in one of the previous videos that these boys were with us, the 6 games that we had, we're down to 5. We got the 3 points against Spurs. I said 8 points out of 6 games. 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats. So we're already 3 points in one of the games that I thought we'd get a draw out of. So when you look at it that way, we're up as to where I said we're going to be. Fuck it, if we can pick up a draw on Saturday, then so be it. I'll be happy. If we get a win, I'll be running around the local area, probably with nothing on, showing everyone a bit far too much. But I'd like to. Well, listen, if we can. But no, it's going to be a very, very tough game.
Oh yeah,
James from the Anvil. Where do you think the game is won and lost on Saturday? Where do you think the key battle lines will be drawn?
My big concern for them is the fact that they'd like to cross in on the left a lot. I saw the game against they played Mönchengladbach, wasn't it? I think
yesterday. Yes,
they played. Yeah, them lot, and they do like to cross in on the left a lot. It tends to be like Silva and Foden crossing in from that side. So we need to have our fullbacks going in quite deeply. I think if Moyes were to take a decent approach to this game, he should have the same kind of thing that he had with the Villa game, where he had Sofal and Fredericks in. One playing like on the wing and one playing in the back to help each other out. I think that would be a good thing to have against someone like Sterling. The thing with City as well, when they've got with Cancelo, he's got the Barca play from the back mentality on him, where he tends to put in long balls from the back past the midfield and to their forward line. So it's City's passing game where I think it's won or lost. It's the fact that they know how to move the ball around a lot.
They can literally make the opposition dizzy with the way they manipulate the ball around the pitch, can't they? I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable the way they can just ping the passes sort of left, right, back, forwards.
Violate teams.
Passing patterns. It's really difficult to keep up with them for 90 minutes.
It is definitely.
James Fatboy, over to you, mate. What's your thoughts on the key battles?
It's a tough game, mate. I'm not being funny. They are a world-class, multi-million pounds worth of talent on that pitch. The key battles are, if you got to keep Foden quiet, you got to keep Sterling quiet, you got to keep enough of the other 6 of their players quiet, and we might have half a chance. Yeah, it's a tough game. The aim, what I would look at is if we can get to half-time level, then that would be a good shout. That'd be a good starting point. The one thing I will say with City is, as I said, like previous, they played in Hungary. Then now they're playing again at 12:30 Saturday. And it's a good time to play them like now because they've only had basically not even 72 hours rest. Do you know what I mean? From Friday to from Wednesday to Saturday. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's one of them ones. It's going to be tough. We've got to. The system is going to be key. I think maybe a 3-5-2 system for up the midfield and have wing backs and go that way, like we did at Old Trafford. If we go 4-2-3-1, then they're just going to go straight for our midfield, and then they're just going to be literally running at us like the Blue Arrows, basically. So yeah. Yeah.
So Duke, you've got yourself a little lineup that you've put together for both the teams you think that we're going to go.
I think you've got it on there, haven't you?
Yep. Let me just, and you can just talk us through your thoughts on both teams.
Yeah, I might have ballsed up slightly on the. Well, I say ballsed up. I struggled slightly with the City lineup, if I'm honest. Just because obviously they rested De Bruyne last night.
They did.
From the starting 11 anyway, and Mahrez. And then obviously you got Foden out there, and they've got so many outstanding players in that squad from front to back. I mean, I was looking at the team this afternoon, if I'm honest with you, and I just kind of even like their fullbacks. They've got Mendy still sitting there waiting to, he's not having the greatest of times at the minute, but he's still there waiting to come into this team, the second Cancelo slips up. So you look at that and you kind of think, pardon my French, but shit. There is, I did a video earlier based around what I feel we need for next season. And I think I added 7 players without including Dawson or Lingard really into that equation, and not necessarily selling anyone other than Anderson. And we need 7 players, and that includes a goalkeeper, at least another 1 or 2 centre-backs, 2 central midfielders. Definitely getting Lingard in is one of the main priorities, and then 2 people up top with, to give Antonio the runaround, if you will. And I look at this City team and I just think they've already got that in the quality that sits behind anything that's not even their first starting 11. So I'm looking at this City 11 and I'm thinking, you know what, they can replace every single one of those and still be an absolute danger to us on Saturday. An absolute danger. I think ours is pretty much straightforward, as the boys were touching on earlier. We're going to have to go 3 at the back and 3 in midfield, or 5 at the back, 3 in midfield, the 2 wider players, and leaving Lingard and Antonio as being the 2 that are going to have to try and do something up top. I have a feeling though that with the pressing of their 2 fullbacks, Cancelo and Walker, if they start, I think it might give the opportunity for the likes of Fornells to push forward slightly and give us that killer pass. So, I just, they're my teams. I can't, they are what they are. I don't think we can do anything different with what we've got at our, dispenser, and City can do whatever they bloody want, really, because like I say, they've got near enough 2 teams that could go out there on Saturday and press us from start to finish.
Well, for what it's worth, this is what I just did a quick knock up last night. Now, whether you do it as 5 or 3, however you do it, this is what I suspect may be coming. I wouldn't be surprised if Michail Antonio gets the day off. I wouldn't be surprised if he's maybe stuck on the bench and Lingard goes in as a false 9. So my team, I've gone Fabianski, I've gone Johnson, Cresswell, Dawson, Diop, and Soufal as a back 5, if you will. I'm not too sure whether they're going to have maybe Bowen in just behind or Bowen on the right, one or the other. But I think you're then going to have the rest of the personnel. Obviously, you've got the 2 central midfield generals of Declan Rice and Thomas Souček. And you're going to have Fornells in. I think he comes in because of his work rate, because I think, that will be absolutely key for West Ham, for me. And Jared Bowen, and I think Jesse Lingard, I think will possibly be deployed as a false 9. James from the Anvil, what are your thoughts on how you think we might line up personnel? I mean, do you think it's going to be a back 5, back 4? What are your thoughts?
It's pretty much like the team you put out there. That's what I would have more or less gone with. I would have had Johnson, Soufal there, and I would have kept that kind of formation in. I think that Antonio and Benrahma will be benched and used in the second half at some point. I wouldn't start either of them, not against a team that likes to break you down a lot. My concern would be I would probably have potentially have Fredericks in for Bowen instead. Okay. And have the Lingard in the false 9 position still. But I would be tempted to put Fredericks in just for a little bit more defensive coverage.
And James Fatboy, your thoughts?
I would play Benrahma if I'm honest, that's where I look at it. I look at it different. He hasn't played. The last time he played a competitive game, like started a game, was Fulham away. And how long ago was that? That was like the beginning of February, I think. Or
Can't remember.
While back. Yeah. So basically, I think he should play. I think it's going to be interesting to see what system he does go with, because if he goes with a 4-2-3-1 system, he's going for it against City. Like if he goes 5-3 or 3-5-2, he's going to be looking at like containment. So the back three picks itself: Cresswell, Diop, Dawson, Johnson on the left, and Kafal on the right. Souček right in the middle. Then basically the three that are going to, or the two up top, Lingard, and I would play Ben Rama. I think Ben Rama's, he's got pace, he can beat players, he can bring people into play. Like I don't see what Fornals does other than runs about a lot.
No, that's fair enough. The problem with City though is it's a bit difficult to sort of work out exactly what team they're going to sort of put out, and whatever team they do, you just look at it and it's like, wow. I mean, you look at the team they put out yesterday, and they didn't even have De Bruyne on the pitch. They didn't even have Fernandinho on the pitch. Was Bernardo Silva? Did he start? I mean, they've got threats all over the place, and it's kind of difficult.
I think Rodri start. I think Rodri start in the middle for them, because he seems to play all the time. Rodri and I think De Bruyne, I think they're not going to risk him, because what it is, they're looking at Champions League now as a major thing. Like they're basically looking at it, the League Cup. They're one game away from winning that. The Premier League, everyone here and everyone up and down the land knows that it's Man City's to throw away.
Oh yeah.
Now, do you know what I mean? So basically, that leaves two other competitions that they've got a chance of winning, like the FA Cup. They're the best team in it. Like they've got the best team on paper, and then the Champions League, and the Champions League's the ones they all want. So I think De Bruyne is going to be a player that he won't play in the Premier League. I don't think. I think they're going to save him for the Champions League.
Well,
if I'm honest,
this is the team that I've selected. I mean, like I say, I sat there last night thinking, is this guy going to play here? Is this guy going to play there? And this is what I've kind of gone with. But again, I mean, pick a player, stick him in. I mean, I've gone, obviously, Edison in goal. I've gone, I think Zinchenko is going to come in at left full-back.
Yeah.
I think the centre-back pairing is going to be Diaz and Stones with Cancelo. He was at left-back last night, but I think he's going to be shifted across, and I think he's going to replace Kyle Walker at right-back. I think Fernandinho... Sorry?
I'm sorry, he can play anywhere. That's the thing with Cancelo.
He can. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit, it's quite a nice sort of... string to have to your bow, to be able to sort of be that versatile that you can just go wherever the manager wants you, and there's no real drop off in his quality of his performances. Midfield, I think he's going to go 4-3-3. I think he's going to have Fernandinho sitting and Gundogan, and I think De Bruyne will come in, because obviously he was put on the bench yesterday for the Mönchengladbach game. So I got a funny feeling he's going to be brought out against us. And then I think the front three, I think it's probably going to be Foden left, Mahrez on the right, and Gabriel Jesus through the middle. But to be quite honest with you, I mean, it could be literally anyone. I mean, you've got Sterling, you've got so many players that could be put in, and all of them are a threat. I mean, we've literally got problems from all angles. But then, having said that, we're going to pose a few problems to them. I mean, when we get set pieces, corners, free kicks, anywhere around sort of like their sort of final third of the pitch. Again, we've got threats from all over the place. The obvious one being Thomas Souček, but then we've got Craig Dawson, you've got Issa Diop. I mean, they're going to have a few problems. But the fact of the matter is that I think we're going to have very, very little of the ball. I think we're probably looking at. Probably at best, we're looking at probably about 30% of the play we're going to have. So it's vitally important that when we get the ball, when we sort of like are in possession, that we make sure that we use it and with quality and really try and hurt the opposition as much as possible.
You've just mentioned Souček. Prague have just taken the lead against Leicester. That's what I was trying to...
There you go.
Just about to say the same thing, yeah.
Mystic Gatesy.
That's why I reacted like...
That was really Seamer as well.
Agent Suchet's working his magic here because he's defo leached to these lads how to be at Leicester.
The only thing, do you know what wound me up though in the week is that someone put out on a group chat that I was in that we were, I believe, at one bookmaker 12-1 to win on Saturday, and I sat there and I thought, are we in the bottom four or are we in the top four? Someone remind me. I know they're a fantastic team and that we're sort of like going into the lion's den, as it were, but it's like 12-1 in a 2-horse race.
Yeah, I found that quite insulting. Score a goal.
See,
I'm looking now.
I think that's the only reason we'll start Antonio on Saturday is for the simple fact he's someone to hold the ball up against the constant barrage of City coming forward. That's the only reason I see Antonio starting is it's someone. It's an outlet. Get the ball to his feet. He can, he holds the ball up well. He's strong. He can also shrug people off and break clear. So I'm also at that point where he's going to try and break him behind with the ball's over the top, ball into feet where he can be strong and hold the ball up and hopefully bring in Lingard or whoever else will be out there with him. So that was my only thing with Antonio is his hold up play and the pace that he obviously brings.
Set pieces are going to be massive on Saturday, like free kicks, corners. Because when you look at City, one thing they haven't got is height. If you take Diaz and Stones out of it, the rest of their players are pretty small. Like Foden's tiny, Mahrez is tiny. So in the air, they're not as good in the air as they are on the ground. On the ground, they're phenomenal, but in the air, they're not as good. Do you know what I mean? So I think obviously when we get a corner, our aim should be to try and get as many corners and free kicks into that box as possible. Do you know what I mean? And that's our chance, I think.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I mean, I think we've got, is it 13 set piece goals in the Premier League this season?
Yeah.
Is it 13?
Yeah.
I mean, so, that's exactly right. I mean, sort of like corners, free kicks. Yeah, got to try and get as many of them as we can and try and sort of like capitalize, get a good delivery. I mean, if Soucek gets a times his run to perfection as is usually the case. Yeah, I mean, we could be onto a winner there, but it's easier said than done. I mean, as I say, Manchester City are going to keep the ball for a lot of that match. They're going to have that for about a good 70% of it. But as I say, we are the fourth best team in the Premier League after 25 games. And as I say, I just found it quite disrespectful that the bookies have wrote us off. Like I say, I'm looking now on one particular bookmaker. We're 11-1. Man City are 9-2 on.
What?
I mean, like I say, are we fourth or are we fourth from bottom?
That's a bit disrespectful, really, because I mean, at the start of the season, if they were going to predict that, maybe fair enough, but not right now, not in this current situation.
No, it's like we've been completely written off.
Yeah, but don't forget, we've only won once up there, and that was in the when Victor Moses scored back in 2015-2016 season, and we haven't won. Like, we've got a terrible record up at Man City. We don't win at Man City. Like, that's what, do you know what I mean?
Those teams don't.
That's probably the reason. You know what I mean? But
I think I saw in our last 13 matches against them in all competitions, I think we've drawn 2, lost 10, and one win, which was the one where Victor Moses scored up at the Etihad, and we won 2-1 under Slav. I know that obviously we've got a rubbish record against them. I get that. I know that they're on a 19-game winning streak, but everything comes to an end at some point, So are both of these runs going to come? Maybe it's only going to be a draw, but that would be
the bad runs that come to
a great point.
A draw would feel like, I don't know if it'd feel like a loss to them. It would definitely feel like a big win for us if we were to get a draw against them.
Oh, it'd be a massive point. I mean, could you imagine if we come away from the Etihad with a point in our back pocket, say a 1-1 draw, something like that? I mean, that would be absolutely huge for confidence.
Oh yeah, it kind of throws a spanner into their works a bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're going to win. They're going to win the Premier League, whatever happens on Saturday. I'm quite sure of that. Even if we pulled off the shock of the season and went up there and beat them, I don't see anyone finishing above City this season. I really don't. But as I say, I just find it quite disrespectful that, you know, the bookies have just literally gone, West Ham haven't got a chance. And like I say, I just sit there and think, well, we are fourth in the Premier League. You know, we are a team that at this precise moment in time are in for the Champions League.
Yeah, we're there. In with a shout.
Duke, you was going to say something there, mate?
No, it's just I mean we're there for a reason. It's not like we've lucked our way through. That's a great shout, Peach. It's not like we've lucked our way through this season. You know, we've battled. There's been games that we've been dominated and we've got results out of. There's been games where we more than likely should have only picked up a point. We played that badly that we should have lost, etc. But we've come away with 3 points, you know. So we're there for a reason. The boys are playing some bloody good football. Moyes has got them working together. You can see that there is a massive togetherness within that squad. You know, you only had to look at the way they came off of the pitch against Spurs. You know, there was a lot of smiles, a lot of high fives. There was a lot of the players coming together, fist bumps, all the rest of it. So, you know, you could see Lingard at the end of the game made a point to go around to every single player in a West Ham shirt that was still on that pitch, high-fived them, hugged them, whatever it was, you know, and you're seeing it game in, game out, that's what they're doing. You know, I'm kind of waiting for a moment that you see Fabianski legging it up the pitch to celebrate the goal with the rest of them. You know, Adrian did it against Spurs in the League Cup a few years ago at Wembley. So
I was going to say it was Wembley, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Bonner.
Remember that?
Came up with the Bonner goal. So, I mean, listen, you can't write us off to go up there, and I think the bookies are being incredibly selfish that's what they've gone and done with the betting on the games. Listen, no one gave us a chance when we went up there with Victor Moses when he scored. No one gave us a chance. Not even our own fans, really. If we're honest, we kind of went, nah. All right, I have in my six game run, the game against United and the game against City are my two defeats, if you will, out of the four games. I see us more than likely losing. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to see us lose, but they're the games that I more than likely see us losing. But I also saw us drawing against Spurs. Didn't stop me wanting us to go out there and slap them around a bit and get the win. And we got the win. So, you know, currently I'm 0 for 1. So I'm hopefully by Saturday, I'm going to be 0 for 2 come up past 2 in the afternoon, 3 o'clock. And we've got the, you know, we can come away from there with at least a point. There's nothing stopping the players from, you know, going up there and nicking something. We are more than capable of getting a result up there. We are more than capable.
Okay, so gentlemen, head ruling heart. What are your honest score predictions? So we'll start with James from the Anvil.
I think that City will win the game, in all honesty, but I don't want them to batter us like 3 or 4-0. So I want to say 2-0 to Man City. But as long as we don't lose by in like red face scoreline, I'll be all right with it.
Obviously, I completely agree. I mean, I think that if our lads can come off the pitch, and you know, we as fans know when the team has put in a performance, whatever the result was, we know when the team has sort of like has given their all and has come off the pitch, left it all on the pitch, sort of thing. So that's pretty much all I'm wanting. The result, if we can get a result, that's a bonus. But we're playing against a quality team. I mean, I think I was watching you earlier, James, Fat Boy, on the Jake show, and you said that, you know, when you can spend millions and millions of pounds on your squad, that's what you get. And yeah, I mean, we're not sort of like drinking from that same sort of like pool of resources. So yeah, I mean, look, their bench is like I say, you look at their bench and they've got £50 million substitutes. It's just ridiculous. But like I say, I just think if we can come off the pitch, if we've got 11 players plus subs that have put it in for 90 minutes and we haven't been humbled as far as the scoreline's concerned, anything beyond that's a bonus.
Yeah.
So James, on to you, Fat Boy. Your thoughts on how the game's going to pan out? Score prediction.
Heart says 1-0. That's what my heart says, but my head says 3-1 to City. I just think they're too good, mate. I've been saying it for a few weeks now on Jake's channel and here and other channels. They're just too good. They're the best team in the country. They're one of the best teams in Europe, or if not the best team in Europe with Bayern Munich. And it's going to be a difficult game. But nothing would surprise me as West Ham fans, and we all know it. And we like to go up to a place and basically turn them over and make things like
in the bloody nose.
Yeah, so it's one of them ones, really. As long as we don't get hammered, like then I'll be happy. Do you know what I mean? Because if we get hammered, then it could affect us in future games. But I'd say 1-0 with my heart, and like I think we do need to score first. If we're going to do anything out of this game, we have to score first. It is a must. Like I can't see us conceding and then nicking a goal back. But if we can score first, then we've got something to hold on to. But 1-0 with my heart, 3-1 with my head, I'm afraid.
If you're going down the betting shop on Saturday, James, what are you going with, heart or head?
I'm going with West Ham to score 1 goal.
Probably
that's
the bet.
Politics.
Yeah, no, that's the bet. I'm afraid. Like West Ham to score a goal would be a good. If anyone was having a bet, West Ham to score 1 goal would be a value for me, because I think it's going to be hard up there. I just think it's just, if we go and score 2 goals, then we're in dreamland. But I will say this, right? Whatever happens on Saturday, like it will just see where we are as a team this year. Like we're up against a top quality team. Now, if we play top quality against this team and we end up getting a draw against them and we play well, then it shows you that we're not there, like we're there on merit, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that the Peach made a very good point with very good point. Let me just bring it up there in the chat. We're almost equal with them as the informed teams. If you look at the form guide, I mean, yeah, City are far and away ahead, but we're pretty close behind them. So, you know, I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that we could go up there and maybe create a bit of an upset. And when I say an upset, I'm not necessarily talking about beating them, although you never know. But I think that going up there and maybe getting a point isn't beyond us by any means. It might require a little bit of luck. Who knows? Maybe for once, maybe we might get a penalty. How about that? You know, maybe VAR might come in and say that we're going to get a penalty. Again, though, like you, James, I've got two different sort of forces within, you know, my heart on one side, my head on the other. You know, my heart says we can go up there and we can get a 1-1 draw. But my head says we're probably going to come up short. But I think it's going to be 2-1. I think we're going to score. But I think, as I say, with my head, I think it's probably going to be a 2-1 defeat. So, Duke, yourself, your thoughts?
Right, I'm going to touch on what Peter said there, and I'm certainly not going to pretend that this is my own research or anything else. I caught the Hammers chat video that Gonzo did with his dad. His dad reckons West Ham are going to finish second in the league. So I caught that video this afternoon as I was doing some bits for our channel. And someone did a bit of research on that video, and they said, I'm not sure how far back this goes, but on an average, City are getting 3 points per game, however long back it goes.
Yeah.
West Ham are second with 2.2 points per game going back as however far it goes. And then the closest to us, I can't remember who was in the third position, but it was 1.9 points per game. So when you take that into consideration, and listen, I completely agree with what the three of you were saying with regards to, heart and head to, forces that are tearing at you. Part of me thinks we can go up there, and there is. I'm kind of being torn in three different directions. The realistic part of me is saying, listen, you're going up to City. They've won 19 games on the spin. They've got a team that could be replaced near enough man for man and still be as good as the one that they're taking out. And, realistically, yes, it's 2-1, maybe a defeat, 2-0. I'll say 2-1 as the realistic person that I am for a defeat. But then there's also part of me that's going, you know what? Why not? Why can't we get a draw? Why can't we go up there, defend like absolute troopers that we've been known to do in the past? I personally think we defended incredibly well against Spurs on Sunday. Don't get me wrong, we reduced them to shots from outside the box, bar one or two when they got in, but we defended really well. And it's nothing to say we don't go up to the Etihad or the City Ground or whatever we're bloody calling it nowadays. We go up there and we can defend like troopers, maybe concede a goal, but also nick one like you're saying with the VAR and everything else. And then there's I'm kind of hoping we can go up there and put on a show and go, screw your 19 games that you've won. Sod that. That means absolutely bugger all in this 90-minute period. Here we go.
It shouldn't be scared of it, really. It's just a statistic at the end of the day. It's not like it's physically going to harm us in the game.
They're a great side, and we are going to have our work cut out. But what do we do when we have our work cut out for us? How many times so far this season have we gone into a game and ourselves have gone, oh, this will be, oh hello, this will be where we this will be where we test our mettle, if you will. This will show us how far we've come. Guess what? Saturday's just another one of them games. It's another 90 minutes just to, if we win, everyone's going to go, oh, West Ham have they've beaten City at the City. Jesus Christ, look at this. West Ham are on it. But then there's going to be some people that go, well, West Ham are having a great season. That's hardly surprising, is it? And then there's going to be the ones, if we come away from there losing, West Ham City, when we went up to City Ground, they won 20 games now. So I personally don't think we come away from this looking bad. I really don't. Even if we go up there and get spanked 4, 5, 6, 7-0, my only concern with that result would be the whole confidence shift. So that would be my only concern if we do get absolutely battered up there. But if we go up there and get battered, it's City at home.
Thing is, for me, I the way I look at it is everybody expects us to get beat. Probably, and probably even if, in our heart of hearts, if we were really pushed, as we've all pretty much said it, probably, we are going to get beat. But when you're in your spot like that, you've literally got nothing to lose. All the pressure is on them. All of the pressure is on them. Because if they win, they're not really going to get that much in the way of credit for it, because it's like, well, quite honestly, you should have won. You're the team at top. You're 19-game streak. You're the home team. You should win that game quite comfortably, if truth be told. But if West Ham actually managed to pull off a bit of a shock and stop your 19-game winning streak, that's a massive feather in our cap. Like I say, that's how I would be dressing it up today. If I was David Moyes giving the team talk, I'd be saying, look, guys, the pressure's all on them. You are under absolutely no pressure. Just go out there, perform to your maximum level for 90 minutes. Let's see what happens. Let the cards fall where they may.
Yeah.
Like I said, my only concern is getting spanked and we come away from it with a massive confidence shift. The boys come off that pitch thinking, you know what, we ain't good enough. We've ridden our luck to get where we are now, etc., etc., etc. That's the last thing I want, because that
Peach makes a really good point there. I mean, they're coming back from their game against Borussia Mönchengladbach, and that was only yesterday, and they're going to be playing 12:30 on a Saturday. I mean, I know they're going to have players that didn't start. I mean, I fully expect Kevin De Bruyne, who didn't start yesterday, to start against us. So he'll be sort of like fresh. There will be players that will be less taxed than others, say. But they've still had to travel halfway across Europe and all the rest of it, and then back. So they're going to have a little bit of the gas taken out of their tank. Maybe, just maybe, and our confidence is obviously sky high at the minute. You never know. You never know. All the stars might align. Maybe. You never know. But we'll see. So, moving on from the City game, I did an interesting little thing earlier. I looked at our remaining fixtures, including the City game, and I did an objective, I did an objective thing where I would look at all of the fixtures that we've got left and try and work out, are we going to win, lose, draw, and try to work out how many points I think we're going to get. And I actually shocked myself, because I looked at it and I think if we play to our potential and a bit of luck, and this is all prediction, so this could all go horribly wrong, but I've actually sort of like mapped out, I think we can get 25 points from what remains of the season. And if we get 25 points on top of what we've got at the minute, that puts us on 70 points. Now, if we'd have got 70 points last season, we'd have finished third quite comfortably. Isn't that incredible?
It is. And if you got
we're actually in a position where we're looking at ourselves as genuine Champions League contenders. It's scary.
Yeah, and if we were to get 70 points, that would beat what Bilic achieved in 15-16.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Because, I mean, you look at, what is it, the game after City, it's Leeds?
Yeah. Not too bad of a team.
They're not too bad of a team, but correct me if I'm wrong, I think we deserve to win up there. And I don't think that Leeds United are a team that, you pretty much know what you're getting with Leeds United. They've pretty much got one way of playing. And when plan A doesn't work, what's their plan B? They don't tend to have a plan B. So that's them knackered straight away. So
they attack the troopers, but they concede so many goals. And every game they need to score, at least three goals to be in with it. This is in my opinion anyway. Leeds have to score at least 3 goals to be in with a shout of winning in probably 50-60% of their games so far this season, because they've conceded far too many. I'm not quite sure where all of their plaudits come from. I think their style of football is so open, is so expansive, is so attacking that yes, they're going to score goals. But let's not forget they concede just as many. And here we are playing some bloody good football, going completely against the grain and sitting fourth at the moment. And we're getting bugger all for it. Apart from a few gigs here and there saying, oh, well, it's because the fans ain't there. Listen, the fans not being there is one of the reasons, in my opinion, that we are doing so well. But it's one of many reasons we're doing so well. I also think having the fans there would have helped us win certain games, but having fans there would have also lost us some games. Brighton being one of them, Crystal Palace being the other one. I think having fans there with the negative atmosphere that would have been created by that. But games like the Spurs game, they would have driven us through to the result we got in the end anyway. So I think it's one of many reasons this season that we're doing so well. I do think that is one of the reasons. I'm not gonna pretend otherwise. I'm certainly not gonna sit here and berate other people that think that that's the case. My opinion, your opinion, knock yourself out. Let's do it. We're going to have a conversation over it. But we don't seem to get anything from anyone at the moment. I think Alan Shearer was it the other day that was the first person that I've heard so far this season on Match of the Day give us what I consider to be credit where credit's due. We're not getting it from anyone else.
No.
I don't know. I partly agree with you, but in the other part, I don't. Because the fans are like, when they say about the fans not being in, there's the reason why we're doing well. So basically, no one's giving no credit to the backroom staff at our club. Like Stuart Pearce, Alan Irvine, all them lads who's the backroom staff. Now, I'm not saying that the fans there or not there is an issue. I'll tell you one thing that I will say though. Ain't it ironic that Declan Rice is our captain this year and we look a completely different team? And I've said it on Jake's channel and I will say it on this channel now. I love Mark Noble. 16 years. He's been through relegations. He's been through administrations. He's been through hell with his club, right? I love him. He's a legend, right? To me, he's a West Ham boy. Great. But Declan Rice has been captain this season and been made to be captain this season. And we look a completely different team, different winning mentality. And that boy don't like losing. And that is one of another major reason that no one has ever mentioned, that because Declan Rice is captain of this club now, he's driving this club forward.
Well, yeah, I think what it is with Declan Rice is the fact that because he's a younger player, he's more liberal-minded in the footballing sense. He's more open to changes and trying new things out. That's no disrespect to Noble, because obviously he's been there the same time during the same time that Declan has as well. But Declan's a younger player who's trying to represent a younger, different West Ham side. Noble's had his day, and I think that with Rice, he's got his own way of doing things and his own way of sort of reinforcing the infrastructure of the club within the players.
See, I agree with that, but also I look at it like this. Declan Rice is a world-class central midfielder, deep defensive midfielder. Like, he's world-class. Mark Noble has never been world-class. He's never been... He's been a good player, but he's never been world-class. Declan Rice walks into any team in the Premier League, in my opinion. Like if you want to go and pay the money... Yeah, he changes that. He drives the team forward. And to me, when people keep saying about the fans, right, these journalists saying, oh, because the fans are not doing that, start having a look at inside the team. Like Declan being captain as one of them. Like, I think the way he galvanises, Lingard wouldn't be at the club if it wasn't Declan Rice as captain. Like, you see him mucking about and having a laugh because he knows him from England. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, Moyes has worked with him, which helps the situation. And Declan Rice can attract young, hungry players who want to play with Declan Rice. Do you know what I mean? Because he's a name. Like, he's like, that's Declan Rice that you're going to be playing with. You're going to be playing with Bowen. You're going to be playing with Ben Rama. Now Lingard. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a fresh. There's a freshness about West Ham. Totally.
It's a mentality change, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a change.
100%.
It's a change in sort of like mentality, and I think that comes from the top. And it permeates right the way down from David Moyes.
How many times have you, have the lads here, right, have you seen us have a winning mentality? Like, going into games with no fear whatsoever. Right?
Doesn't happen often.
It doesn't, right? And I'll be honest with you, there's been many a times, like, where we've been laughed at by rival fans for getting hammered at Oxford and beaten at Wigan and beaten at Wimbledon in cup games. Like, ashamed. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, we're losing to lower league opposition. And I've just look at it now that everyone says about the fans not being there. Granted, it might be an issue with the fans, right? But also, you've got to look at the squad and the backroom staff, because basically what people are saying is, well, because the fans are not there, right? Moyes' backroom staff, like Kevin Noland, he's doing great with like midfielders, like, because Souček plays like Kevin Noland. Do you know what I mean? As like running into the box late, headers and everything. So yeah, you just got to look at it like that.
Paul Nevin, another one. I mean, he's the set piece guru, you know, and he was. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was he not at the World Cup with Gareth Southgate in 2018?
Was.
I'm pretty sure.
He says that he sees a lot of potential in the future of the team as well.
Yeah,
that's why he's staying on.
But I got quite angry, and I don't know whether you guys caught it. I did a video on the channel Wednesday, I think it was, because I was just driving around doing my day job, and Adrian Durham comes on TalkSport and asking the question exactly what you said about the fans. And it makes me angry, because for me, it's just a convenient stick to beat the club with. You know, it's not like we're the only club that doesn't have fans. You know,
don't you think though, Rob? Don't you think though, Rob? It's an insult. I class that. Yeah, 100%. I class that, because I'm not being funny enough. I think there's fans up and down the land who have paid 60% of their wages. Even yourselves have probably paid money into the club for many years. Yeah. And to be disrespected and be told basically, well, because you're not there, that's why the team are doing well. But it's okay for us as fans to go away to places like Blackburn back in the day and get hammered 7-1. Like a 6-hour coach journey. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a joke.
I've said it for many, many, many years. I think pound for pound, we have got the best supporters in the country, bar none.
Yes.
You know, and you can turn around and say, you know, maybe Manchester United have, you know, more numbers and all the rest of it. Yeah, fine, not a problem. You can have that. But I'm saying pound for pound, who has the best supporters in the country? And for me, make a case for any other team other than West Ham. I'd love to hear the argument, because for me, I don't think you'll convince me otherwise. I know what Duke's going to say. I know what Duke's going to say, because
I've got several things I want to take on the comments on the side. I've been writing them down as they've been coming through, so I'll hit them in a second. Or now,
No, crack on.
Right, basically, I've got one. It's a bit further up, so let me go look for it. Give me a second. So this one here. Now, again, with what James was saying. So, I'm certainly not saying that I'm not giving credit to Moyes and the backroom staff. You know, that's probably the number one reason we are where we are right now. The Moyes, the backroom team, the fitness of the players, the togetherness of the players, the tactics are right. The players are right for the tactics that we're doing. So Moyes and the scouting team are doing everything that they should be doing. What I'm saying is that the fans not being there, and the negative side of the fans, as you just said there, Rob, pound for pound, when we're behind the team and not focusing about what's going up in the director's box, when pound for pound, when we're behind the team, we are the best team, best supporting fans in this country for our football club. I'm not denying that. When we're behind our team, and that's when we're behind. When we're negatively affecting the team on the pitch because we're worried about the arseholes that are up in the director's box. Pardon my French if any youngsters are watching.
We're after 9 o'clock. I think we're good.
Bollocks to it then. So when you've got the negativity of you know, that entire stand turning as one, turning their back on the players that are on the pitch and screaming obscenities to the 3 toss pieces that are in the director's box, that negativity is going to filter down onto the pitch. So, yeah, I agree with when we're behind the team, we are the best supporting fans in the country, up and down the country, not just at home. Well, you know, when you go away, I think Sky nailed it when we were at Old Trafford. BBC One. They nailed it in the pumped-in sound for the fans in the stadium, because all you could hear was "I'm for blowing bubbles" in the background, because that's all we ever do. That's all you ever hear in away stadiums. When West Ham fans are there, are that bloody loud. They take the Upton Park atmosphere with them. I'm not going to say that poxy bowl, because it is what it is. But going back to what they said there, we don't say it about Leeds. No, you're right. For me, can you tell me, do you reckon Liverpool are being adversely affected by the fact that they don't have fans in the stadium at the moment?
I think they're being adversely affected by the fact that they haven't got Virgil van Dijk.
Nah, I'll have to disagree. I'll have to, because it ain't that. It's the fact that when you're playing central midfielders as your defenders, you're going to get found out in the end.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like when you start mucking about and playing people out of position, in the end it will come back. Like, and you could be the best. Liverpool have been found out because Liverpool are a good team, but they're not. They've had a few good seasons where they've been top quality. But let's have it right. They've only won one trophy in them 3 years, and that's the Premier League. Man City have won 6 or 7 trophies in that time. They've won League Cups. They've won. No, but when I say James, when I say in domestic competitions.
Oh, okay.
Man. So when you look at 6 trophies to 1, like, and they're supposed to be one of the best teams. Like Man City have won the treble, Man City have won the double, they've won the Premier League. Like, and what it is, Liverpool missed the trick because what it is, they thought that team could just carry on and on and on. Look at Man City; they go out, they go and get Diaz, and look what he's done for their team.
Yeah, City's winning a trophy season after season.
I think the thing with Liverpool was, as I say, I think when they lost Van Dijk, I think he was so critical because it allowed their fullbacks, who last season were just bombing on, and creating absolute havoc in the opposition penalty box with their delivery, with their pace, with their trickery, and all the rest of it. And they knew they could do that because behind them is one of the best centre-backs in the world in Virgil van Dijk. So they knew they could just carry on, and it's not a problem because he's back there. He'll keep the door shut. And if they actually manage to get past him, we've got one of the best goalkeepers in the world behind him. So it's fine. Yeah. Unfortunately for them, and fortunately for everybody else, Van Dijk gets the injury. They're still bombing on, but who have they got at the back? Jordan Henderson or Fabinho. Exactly what you said, James. They're slinging a midfielder in where a centre-back should be. And with the best will in the world, they're decent players, but they're not decent centre-backs.
They're not defensively minded.
Yeah.
No.
And let's be honest here.
Exactly.
And let's be honest here. Trent Alexander-Arnold is good going forward, but he can't defend. Like, I don't class him as a good defender. Like, I don't. Well, but if you go the other side, and Robinson, I like Robinson. I think Robinson can defend, but Trent can't. And when you're sort of, as you were saying, and you are right, they can bomb forward when they've got someone behind. They can't do that. Now, that's why they sit back, and that's why they've been conceding goals, a lot of goals. Yeah. But it ain't got nothing to do with the fans not being in the stadium, because look at Man City. Usually the cream rises to the top, and that's what happens. Like, look at it. You got City, Man United have performed this year. Right, and they started off ropey. Like, they couldn't win a game at home, but they seem to win every game away from home. Chelsea have started ropey. Everyone started ropey, right? Even us, for instance. We started off, we lost against Newcastle, lost against Arsenal. But the thing what's happened with us this season is that we started off with a really bad fixture list, and we had to sort of basically put our A game into them games at the start. Otherwise, we was going to get cut adrift. Like, and that's the reason. And what we've done, we've maintained that over a period of time. Like, let's be honest. Worry, wasn't it? Like the Arsenal game, that was the first one. We should have got something out of that. Then after that, we go and play Wolves and Leicester, and we destroy the pair of them. And then we have the 3-0 with Tottenham. So it's not like it's been every game's been like a big, like not a must win, but a must not lose type game. And it's sort of maintained itself over a period of time. That's what I think.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with TalkSport, actually, just to quickly touch on this, the thing is with TalkSport, that what is it with them and slating off West Ham? Because it's Jim White that does it. It's Andy Townsend today was the one that made the comment about the fans not being in. It's just it's rude because everybody else is all in the same boat with the COVID in the UK. Everybody else is every other team, in other words, is having to put no fans in the stadium as well. They're all doing all right. So what's it to West Ham? I mean, yeah. We have got fans that are very loud and very, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. It was just that was exactly when I did my video the other day. That was pretty much the point I was making. It's like, we're not the only team that doesn't have fans in their stadium. The entire league structure, there's no fans in the stadium. And you are where you are. It's a level playing field, and I was really, really angry about it. It was just
It's very biased.
Really wound me up, and it still does because, as I say, I just think it's a really convenient stick to beat us with. And exactly what you said, James, I find it very disrespectful, actually.
Yeah,
because it's like the only reason we're doing well is because there's no fans in the pitch, and I'm like, there's so much more than that.
There is. It is just a joke, really, because we heard it. Aston Villa can get in the top 4, right? That's what I kept hearing on there. Like Gabriel Abonlahor, Aston Villa can get in the top 4. Southampton supposedly was going to be like a Champions League team, right, when they was top of the league for a couple of games. Gone down the pan. Everton have been mentioned. We don't get a mention, but you know what? In one way, it's a good thing because it don't put no pressure on us. So we just carry on. Like, do you know what I mean? Just keep doing our thing, and see where it takes us. Do you know what I mean? But they do it because they know they can. They wind us up, and then what it is, the thing that I have heard, what I find it an absolute insult, is that do you still now you're doing well? Are you people backing the board now? And I'm like, are you having a laugh? Like they spent 6 million net spend in the window, and now they're saying about us supporting the board. Like
we're doing well in spite of them, not because of them. From where I'm still sitting, so
it's even more admirable, really, given where we are without their backing. It's even more praiseworthy to the staff and Moyes.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, and you know, what could we possibly go on to achieve next season? You know, if Moyes has got another transfer window to do some wheeling and dealing, get rid of a fewer players like the likes of Anderson.
The problem is though, Rob, right? If he ain't offered a contract, where's his contract?
Yes, well, he has got a year's extension. He has got a year's extension.
1 year.
So as far as what it was, apparently, when he signed the deal that brought him in this time, there was an extra year bolted onto it that if he kept us up in this season, would be activated for next season. So I think it's fairly safe to say we're safe now. So that's now been activated. So he's in for next year. But personally, I'm with you, James. I mean, how he has not got a contract right now. I mean, for me, he needs to be in for next season, the season after that, and the season after that. You know, there needs to be a long-term plan in place so that he can sit down and go, right, this season I'm going to do this, and we're going to get this player in and this player out, and da-da-da-da-da. And then the following season, this player, because he's not stupid. I mean, Gio did a video on Hammer's Chat, you know, where he said about the sort of like attention to detail and all the rest of it, that David Moyes, he's not just thinking about the current season, he's thinking 2-3 seasons ahead. You know, he's looking at players, right, okay, he's now 28, but in a couple of years, he'll be this, you know, at this stage of his career, and his levels are going to be dropping. So I need to be replacing him with someone of a better quality than he is. There's no point in replacing him for someone that's the same quality or a little bit less. What's the point? So you've always got to be trying to sort of like, you know, push on and get someone a little bit better. So yeah, I completely think that he's done, in my book, he's done more than enough in his 2 stints, not just this stint, but I think in both stints, he's shown to me what a quality manager he is for West Ham United. And for me, if the board let him go, if the board let him slip through their fingers again, then for me it just shows me and shows the world what they're all about.
Well, yeah. The thing is, Moyes is the only one that actually is forward thinking. It's the board just likes to do things as it comes. If they really were forward thinking, they would tie him and Declan Rice down to new deals. Moyes is the one that's got the vision, like we keep constantly say. He's the one that's got the ideas, plans for the future. He knows what he wants. It's a shame the people above him don't.
But hasn't that been always the way since they've basically walked through the door?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, what makes me laugh with those is that you just said there about tying Deck and Moyes down to long-term contracts. If you were forward thinking, you wouldn't be coming out and telling people, especially ones that you know are going to open their fucking trap, and especially to a national radio station, that your best player, you would accept an offer for your best player of north of 100 million quid. That's letting everyone else know that he's now for sale.
That's what I said on my channel.
You know, that's crazy.
This is the other thing as well with the boards. Why do they leak like confidential stuff like this as well? Claret and Hugh and Talksport and Jim, like they leak confidential stuff like this that is just going to cause unsettlement amongst the fans. This is another thing Moyes wanted to stop.
This is why this season is massive. If you want me to be truthfully honest with you, we need to get into Europe as any form of Europe, because if we don't, then and I'm not being funny enough, I think Rice is valuable to lose, but so is Souček. And Souček, like people say, "Oh, Declan Rice 100 million." I'll tell you what, Souček's not far away from that figure.
No, like Bayern Munich was sniffing around, from what I understand, not so long ago.
So are United. You're apparently eyeing up as a replacement for Pogba.
And he's ideal for Bayern Munich. He's actually like the way they play, like the box to box type player. So it's one of them ones. Like the ownership is one of the reasons why I can't go over Stratford, because when they took us out of our home in 2016, I was like, you know what? Until they are gone, because they are money motivated. Let's be honest here. When you're spending £6 million net spend on a Premier League football club, and you're expecting David Moyes to perform miracles, and that is what he's doing at the minute. He's performing miracles. He's turned people like Cresswell back on form. He's turned Dawson back into like a defender that none of us have ever seen. They've signed Kofal, and he's turned out to be a gem. You've signed Souček, who's turned out to be another world-class midfielder. I think we've got two world-class midfielders in our team. Like, that's what I personally think. And he's made players better, David Moyes, but he can't do it on his own. Like, he needs, like, give him the tools. Like, do you know what I mean? If you're going to give Pellegrini 100 million, right, at least give Moyes 80 million. Do you know what I mean? To do something.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
I think they've turned around, though, and said that if they get in what they think they're going to get in for the players they want to shift in the summer, Moyes is going to get, I reckon, 60 million. Now, you did a video a little bit earlier about sort of like where, if we finish in European competition, where you think we need to strengthen. And I completely agree with it, by the way. How on earth are we going to strengthen in those areas on 60 million quid at any sort of level that's going to allow us to compete in Europe?
You don't. When you look at the list, and it's still sitting next to me actually, because I'm a messy bastard and I've not thrown a sheet of paper away. Goalkeeper, right? You did a video, Henderson.
Yep.
So Henderson at United, right? Because he's sick and tired of playing second fiddle to De Gea. Which, listen, I don't think he will be for much longer, even if he stays at United. I think De Gea's pretty much done. He was done a couple of years ago, in my opinion, as a top flight goalkeeper. But let's say Henderson, for argument's sake. How much is he going to cost us?
About 40 million.
Yeah, right? That's the price been put on his head.
Areola from PSG, the one on loan at Fulham. I think he's having a blinding season. I think he's a great goalkeeper.
Between 30 and 40.
Right? For a top class goalkeeper, it's going to cost us. I'd say 20 million is where I'd be for Areola, because I think he's proved himself as being a bloody good goalkeeper in the Premier League. Now, if we want Henderson, we've got something that United want. In fact, we've got two things United want. They want Rice, they want Souček. Shit. If we want Henderson, they're going to want something in return. And now my concern is that you can have Henderson and a bit of cash, and we'll take Rice off your hands. What's more important to us, the goalkeeper or Declan Rice? Declan Rice all day long. So thanks. I'm walking away from that. But then we also need, if we keep Dawson, which we look like we're going to need at least another two centre-backs.
If we don't keep Dawson, Duke, I'll tell you what, something is drastically wrong, because for 3 million quid, that is an absolute deal.
I still say if, because of the toss pots we got in charge, right? So I still say if, right?
Yeah. We need younger centre-backs.
We need 3 more. I think we need 6 centre-backs.
Well, they got that kid in the January transfer window, didn't they?
Yeah, you've got that
Oh,
Alves, haven't they? You got Alves.
It might be League Cup worthy. League Cup, FA Cup.
Yeah.
Right, so then we'll say 2. Dawson and 2. Yeah. CDMs, we need 2 more to work alongside Souček and Rice. I think we need 4 because you've got to look FA Cup, League Cup, Premier League, European Conference League, or Europa, whatever they're calling it, poxy thing. You know, Lingard's got to be a priority alongside. You know, I don't think we need to really get anything else there. You got Lanzini, who I'd keep personally. Lanzini, Fornals, Benny, Bowen, Lingard. 5 across a 3 attacking midfielder sort of area. And then you need 2 people. And someone, Peaches just said it there himself. They're the 2 people that I mentioned in my video earlier as strikers up to go alongside Antonio. Would be, well, you stop bloody clicking buttons, Gatesy. Armstrong and Tony. They'd be the 2 I'd go and get. But Tony, they've already said they want 20 or 25 million for. Armstrong's going to cost us at least 15. All right, Tony, we can go here. I have Winston Reid apparently putting a man of a match performance last night, so good luck to him. So you can have him, but no doubt we'll go, right, we'll give you £2.50 a week, like you do with your catalogues. We'll give you £2.50 a week for the next 40 years for Tony, because that's what these arseholes do.
Yeah.
So we're looking 25 for Tony. We're looking 15 for Armstrong. All of a sudden, you're talking 40 million quid for 2 players out of the Championship. 20 million for Areola. If we go through him out of PS, there's your £60 million. I want 7 players, not 3.
Yeah.
Neil from Down Under makes a good point. I can't see Rice wanting to leave the London areas. He seems very much a homeboy. Now, my understanding is that he's just recently completed the building of his home. Well, not he's completed it, obviously. The builders did that.
Yeah.
But
Declan Rice can do anything.
He's from the sort of like the Kingston area. His girlfriend's from Chessington, I believe. They've got a nice little place in Banstead that they've just set up together. I can't see that Manchester United.
Slippers by the front door.
Yeah. But no, I mean, sort of like with Declan Rice, sort of like the only club that I'm really concerned about is obviously Chelsea. I think that's the one that I
don't think he'll go, mate. I don't think he'll go. I think that shit was. I think he's not a Thomas Tuchel. Yeah, I can't see that happening. But the thing is, what we've got to be looking at is, I agree with everything what Duke just said. Right, go up to Blackburn and get Armstrong out of there. He is a good player. Trust me, he's like another Bowen type. He's pacey. He knows where the goal is and all. Right, he knows he can score a goal. That geezer. Tony, I like Tony. I think he's a replica of Antonio. I think he's made for the league. I think he's ready to go. What we do need is a covering left back. Right, we've got Alpha Mazawaku, who's injured, and Cresswell is the only left back at the club. We're playing people like
Johnson, who can play both sides, though, isn't you?
Yeah, but he's right-footed on the left side, though, isn't he? Let's be honest. Like
when he plays on the left, to be fair,
Bowen's the left footer on the right side. So
yeah,
I see where you're coming from, and listen, I'm certainly not going to belittle that side of things, because Masuaku for me ain't a left back. He's a left winger, left wing back at best. So I see where you're coming from, but I think if we can use him in certain formations, you've got Johnson, who can fit into that position quite well, and he's played out there a couple of times while Mass has been out injured, and he can also play right back where you've got Fredericks and you've got Soufal. So essentially across 2 positions, you've got 5 players.
So how much then do you think we need to spend to get what we want, really? Like realistic figure?
I think we're looking at the sort of territory that what Manuel Pellegrini spent in his first transfer window. I think you're looking at probably a good 100 easy.
Yeah, going to Europe would give us an opportunity to attract better players.
In his video, if the sort of surgery that Duke was talking about in the video, I think 100 million is what we probably need to be shifting out. But They won't spend that.
Tomorrow I will sit down and I'll tell you what, I won't even look abroad. I will look Premier League and Championship. All right. And I will fill those 7 spots. Now, I've already filled 3 with Lingard coming in and Tony and Armstrong. So, and let's say Areola from PSG, although he's on loan at Fulham. So I've filled 4 out of 7. And we're already looking, really, without we're looking at £75 million. Because we're looking... Add to the 60 that I'd already spent, the £15 million for Lingard. So I'll have a look tomorrow. I'll do a video based around Championship and Premier League players that I think not only would we want to get, but could come to us. You know,
here's a name for you. Here's a name for you. I saw this on the internet yesterday. What's your thoughts on Tammy Abraham?
I would. No, I would have him.
Yeah, I'd have him. Yeah, exactly what James is saying. I'd have him. I think he'd be better in a team that's lower than Chelsea because he's not going to get played there. The fact that they're giving a new contract to 35-year-old Giroud and not him's probably pissed him off a lot. So that's why he's going to want out. He would. I'm going to say he'd walk into a team like West Ham or anyone lower in the Premier League than Chelsea.
I mean, for me, I'll tell you my take on it was sort of like I agree. Sort of Armstrong and Tony, two players in the Championship that are absolutely ripping it up. Fantastic. The only thing that I would turn around and say is that it's always a risk, and you're never quite too sure which way it's going to work. And obviously with Bowen, it worked out well, but it's not going to go like that every time. Is when you're picking up a player from the Championship, are they going to be able to step up? Are they going to be a Jared Bowen, or are they going to be a Jordan Hugill? Now, with Tammy Abraham, he's done it in the Premier League, and he's done it in the Premier League for a couple of seasons. He's young, he's English, he's mobile, he's quick, he's strong, and he scores all sorts of goals. For me, I think...
And who does that remind you of?
Oh, yeah.
Who does that remind you of? You just said all them things. Who does that remind you of? It reminds you of Antonio.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, he's strong, mobile.
Mikel Antonio is, 7 years younger? And he hasn't got the injury.
Concern with Abraham is his attitude stinks.
That is one thing I will agree with you on.
Talking to a couple of Chelsea, in fact, I was talking to one of my mates who's a Chelsea fan. We were having a conversation. We were talking about the channel and some of the bits that he watches a lot. He watches ours, bless him. I don't know if he's watching at night, but he's a big Chelsea fan. He goes when the fans are allowed. He watches a lot of the Chelsea versions of these, and the common understanding amongst people inside the club at Chelsea, etc., is his attitude absolutely stinks. He walks around like he's King Dick, very much like we had the problem with Reece Oxford. Remember we had the problem with Reece Oxford, a far more talented player than Declan Rice was, and would have been a better player than Declan Rice because he had the natural talent. Declan Rice has worked hard at his, but because we gave Reece Oxford a £35,000 a week contract on his 18th birthday because he played that game against Arsenal and looked a bit good, where's he playing now? Third division out in Germany. Third division.
Yeah.
Because his attitude stinks. He thought he made it. Bollocks to the world. I'm now on top of my game. Look at me. I'm great.
Yeah.
Tammy Abraham and who's the other one? That's Hudson-Odoi.
Hudson-Odoi, yeah.
Chelsea, both of them walk around that training ground like they know it all, that they don't need to be told anything. Bayern came in for Callum last year, had his head turned. He thought, look at me, I'm fantastic. And now they don't give two shits. And Abraham's the same. The difference with him at Chelsea is, what else they got? They insist on playing Timo Werner out on the poxy left, which is just an embarrassing of possibly one of the greatest finishers in Europe, in my opinion. I think he's an outstanding player, but the fact that you're playing him out on the left, you are absolutely wasting the fella. And Olivier Giroud, who's, I think he has to turn up for training in his Zimmer frame or on one of them, them little...
Vespers.
It's the old, so I mean that's my only concern with Abraham, and I get what you guys are saying. He does have that kind of the what he can do is very much the same as Antonio, but Antonio always wants to better himself. Although he's 30, he still feels like he's coming off the pitch. And he, listen to some of his interviews, he could have given more. Abraham, I don't get that from him. If we were to go and get anyone out of Chelsea, I'd want Mount. And I know that sounds stupid.
Yeah.
He's not getting much of a game at the minute, is he?
Mason Mount's got an obvious magnet attraction because of Declan Rice there.
Yeah. And Ruben Loftus-Cheek at Fulham. I mean, I thought he was outstanding against us a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I thought he was an absolute unit. And
there's a few players at Fulham.
Yeah, Lookman is one I'd have.
It'll be one of the two that take over from. It'll be one of the two CDMs that come in to work alongside Souček and Rice. It'd be one that I'd go get because he's not good enough for Chelsea, but he's too good to be able. I'd say it'd be a perfect fit for us. Who's the other lad at Fulham?
You got Lookman. You got Lookman. You got Robinson.
Reed.
Gatesy.
Yeah. See, I mean, listen. Fulham are going down through no fault of these players. Loftus-Cheek. Loftus-Cheek, I think, has been a rock steady player throughout the season.
Scott Parker's off of your Christmas card list, Duke.
Eh?
You've just gone off of Scott Parker's Christmas card list. I'm not too sure they are going down, I've got a feeling it's Newcastle.
I'd rather stay.
Yeah. You reckon?
I do. I said this a good month, 6 weeks. You asked George. I turned around and I said, how normally there's a team that just out of nowhere just gets sucked into the relegation battle. I said, watch Newcastle over the next couple of weeks, and slowly but surely they're getting sucked down. And
they only need two more wins, didn't they? Really, two.
No, anything can happen, Jude. No, I won't say that. I wouldn't say that.
I think Newcastle.
I've got someone agreeing with me.
Trouble.
Newcastle go down. We need to take some Maximin off him because the guy's insanely good at dribbling.
No, I think Newcastle
will be in trouble. We'll do a video during the week if you boys want to come on, and we'll have a discussion around the last. What will it be then? It'll be 12 games left. We'll have a little. We'll do a midweek video. 12 games left.
Yeah, sure.
I'll have a sit down and work out who's got who, and we'll work out points, and we'll see. We'll just have a discussion on that because I quite like the four of us being on, or if Jake and Peach come on, it's nice to have a group of us like this to have a backwards and forwards conversation rather than talking to each other here. But
I actually think Newcastle are massively in trouble, mate. I actually do agree with Rob on this one. I think they're dropping like a stone. I think Fulham, one thing they have got that Newcastle haven't is Scott Parker's passion. He's pushing them forward, like, come on, and let's be honest, they could have scored three. They could have scored 3 against us. If they had their shooting, but
without that, they played us off the
Newcastle a bit like us, really. We used to flirt with relegation a lot and be dependent on other teams to be crap. Well, that's exactly what it is with Newcastle right now. They're just praying that everyone else below cocks it up.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's a lot closer to the bottom of that league. Looking at it now, I've got it here, and it's actually a hell of a lot closer down there now than what I thought it was. I thought there was a lot more points between Newcastle and Fulham in that 17
points.
You still think it's Fulham then, Duke?
We'll have this conversation during the next.
See that 5 minutes ago, you were super confident. You were like, Fulham are down. We can get their players. It's not a problem.
I'm just trying to work out where I'll be when we do the video. Newcastle have got Wolves and Fulham have got Palace. All right, I might be here on that one by the time we do it. Peach!
Oh, I love it.
Big up, Gatesy. Big up, dude. Big up, James. Big up, Anvil. How you, listen to me, man. Y'all set it down tonight. Down. Y'all put it down tonight. Enough respect. Honestly.
Peach, how's your day going?
My day is, differently. You don't want to ask me about my day, so let's move on. Let's move on, dog.
Is it bad?
Let's move on, dog.
All right, the weather looks nice, Beach. That looks a bit sunny out there, boy.
I know it's nice, right? I beg your pardon. It's nice. But yo, Andrew, how you doing, blood? You good?
I'm good. How we doing, fella?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right.
James.
I'm good, man.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
Good, man. What do you think about the Man City match coming up? Like I heard, you think it's gonna be a draw?
I'm nervous, mate. I'm nervous. But yeah. I think it's because West Ham of old have always gone up there and just haven't performed ever. But nothing would surprise us that on come Saturday afternoon we're either celebrating a win or a draw or something. You know what I mean? This is the new West Ham way. The old West Ham way is dead, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and what Gonzo said, we roll over and got our tummies tickled, right?
Different West Ham this time, though, Peach, with different mentality.
No.
You can see that, with the end of the Tottenham game where we was all the players were embracing, and did you see the little sort of coming together with Lingard and Moyes? You sort of like the real sort of camaraderie, the real sort of like spirit that's within the group at the minute. I don't think we're rolling over and having our tummies tickled. No way. I'd be incredibly shocked if that happened. Like I say, hand on heart, I think we're probably going to come up short, but I think we're going to put in a battling performance at the Etihad. I really do. And if we can come away from there, at least having done that, then on to Leeds. Let's take care of them and get 3 points.
I think the performance is key in this game. Like in this game, forget the result here. It's all about the performance. Obviously we want to win, but if we put in a good performance and come up short, then I'll say, you know what, fair enough, we've given them a go. But it's all about the performance for Saturday.
No shame in going to the Etihad and getting beat. There's no shame in it whatsoever. But there is a big shame if you turn up and you don't give it 100%. That's where I would have an issue.
We ain't getting beat. I'll show you that from now. We ain't getting beat, man. I know. Like the West Ham old would go there, like Gonzo said, to have the tummies tickled. We're gonna tickle their tummy, dog. We're gonna tickle their tummy, man. Because think about it, they done played in Germany. Am I wrong, Duke? Am I wrong? They done played in Germany, what, yesterday?
Yep.
Yeah,
the day before. It was yesterday.
No, I'm losing track of time.
Come on.
They've probably not been home all that long, to be fair.
And it's a 12:30 kickoff.
You're not excited about them.
And you've got to think we had the same kickoff against Spurs on Sunday, and they came back after playing in Germany or Austria. Sorry, Austria, Germany. I don't know. One of them countries. They're next to each other. And they were playing on Thursday night, so it's pretty much the same kind of setup. Don't get me wrong, Spurs are nowhere near the same sort of quality as City. Let's not beat around the bush. But I will be there screaming at the telly Saturday afternoon, screaming at the telly, hoping we can get something out of it. And I'll tell you now, if we start well, Spurs on Sunday, if we start well, every single one of us are going to be kind of, oh, please come on, and we're all going to have that kind of that nervous energy. I know I certainly did against Spurs on Sunday, kind of expecting the worst to happen, especially after they scored. I don't know whether any of you guys did, was expecting, that Gareth Bale one that clumped the crossbar, the one that Declan Rice turned it. Well, I say Declan Rice turned into Bobby Moore. He's a reincarnation of, because that clearance when there were three of them in front of our back line, and Declan Rice, I still can't work out, I've watched it many times, how he kind of gets back in between two to clear it. There was that nervous energy of, oh fuck, it's going to happen. They're going to, and then you get to that full-time whistle, and I won't lie to you, I've created an office room in the flat above the pub, and yeah, I'm at the back end of the house, and Joe's at the front end of the house, and she heard me scream and shout, celebrate through probably 8 rooms between me and the front room. She heard me because I was that relieved that we'd kind of saw out that last 15 minutes, because it was backs to the walls. It was, defending like we've never had to do from an onslaught for quite some time in this season. I don't think the games against Villa and Fulham and Brighton and Palace, they've had a lot of the ball. They didn't attack us like Spurs did on Sunday. And I certainly know if we get a good start on Saturday, that nervous energy will be back. That kind of, oh my God, can we, can't we? We shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be in this position. And then when the time whistle blows, I'll be like, well, no, we do deserve to be in this position. We deserve to be fourth. We deserve to be going and being spoken about, although not as much as I'd like us to be, in the same breath as these guys. They're still talking about the top 6 that include Spurs, Arsenal, and Liverpool. They're not including us in these big conversations about the top 6, the challenges, etc., etc. When they're talking about the top 6, they're going Leicester. Well, they're not. I don't think they're including Leicester. They're going Man City, Man U, Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs. We're not included in it, and it really annoys me.
Yeah, they can go ahead and do that.
We all know that we're there for a reason. We all know that we're a bloody good side, and we've got a bloody good mentality, and we've got a bloody good team ethic, work ethic. How much Jack Gonzo touched on it the other day, the players that would bleed for this club in game. Every single one of them that are out on that pitch would bleed for this club and then get back up to do what Souček did the other day. There's not one namby-pamby pussyfooting around that I see in other clubs.
Yeah,
we've got a team that bleed for the cause and will go the whole hog. And
team of warriors.
Yeah, warriors. Pete, we've basically got 11 peaches. The energy is this man here, honest to God. I don't know where he gets it from.
You know what, Patrick? It's like, I'm glad they ain't talking about us. Honestly, I'm glad they ain't talking about us. It's like, that would apply pressure upon pressure upon pressure, man. We don't got that.
It's going to make them look stupid when we do accomplish it.
Make it taste all the sweeter, gentlemen. Make it taste all the sweeter. Because if we do what they say we couldn't, that'll be pretty special.
That comment there, Gatesy, that you've just taken off the screen.
I'll put it back on.
It was something I was going to mention earlier. I see a lot of the way that Declan Rice tackles, in the way that Bob. I'm going to hit you honestly. When this pub opens, I'm going to smack it.
Not coming? There it is.
Declan Rice does play in the same sort of manner, and carries himself in the same sort of way that Bobby Moore used to. Now, I've only ever seen Bobby Moore play on videos, DVDs, old games, but Declan Rice certainly carries himself in that manner of a leader, of the composure, the way the guy can pick out a pass. The club released a video yesterday, didn't they, about Bobby Moore, and Franz Beckenbauer came out and said he was one of the greatest defenders to ever play the game, if not the greatest defender ever to play the game. And Bobby Charlton came out and said that Bobby Moore used to see things and move himself into position like 5 minutes before that actually happened. He knew, it's like he was a telepath. He knew what was going to develop from the play that was going on in front of him, that he stepped into a position long before that decision was ever made by any other player on the pitch. And I see a lot of the same sort of similarities within him and Declan Rice. James, Fatboy James, you said earlier about Declan Rice walking into any team in the Premier League and vastly improving. Gatesy, you said the same. Andrew, you said the same. For me, I think he walks into most teams in Europe and betters their team. Yeah. He could walk into Barcelona's team. For me, I think he can walk into Barcelona's team with very little preparation and do a job in that team. I think he could do a job for Bayern Munich. I think he could do a job for Real Madrid. Any of these top teams, I mean, PSG, any of these top teams in these top leagues in the world. I personally think Declan Rice walks in there and, okay, when you look at the big teams like I've already mentioned there, Real Madrid, Barcelona, does he make them any worse by walking in? Do you take out a worse player than Declan Rice?
No. The only thing I will say, Declan Rice is like a Declan Rice to us is like how Harry Kane is to Spurs. If that makes sense. Like I couldn't see Rice going abroad though. I just don't think he's.
I'm not saying he would. I'm just saying I think he could walk into any of those teams.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He wouldn't look out of place, would he? You know.
Nah.
You mentioned Souček going to Bayern Munich earlier. Out of place.
Yeah, I agree. Right. I just think.
Peach, you making me dizzy.
Yeah, I'm in the elevator with the lovely lady.
Get to subscribe. Get on the Twitter. Yeah. It's on the bottom. Make sure she likes and subscribes to the channel.
Like, share, and subscribe.
My mask is a bomb. How you mean, dog? My mask is a bomb.
Absolutely.
Hold up 1 second. I gotta plug y'all in, dog, because like my phone is dying up like a.
This is live streaming at its finest.
It doesn't get any better than this, does it? Seriously.
Yo, no, but this is what it's all about, man. How do you mean? Like just real things, man.
He's here.
Oh yeah.
He's back over
there. Honestly, like, your video, like today, like big up Anvil, big up James, big up Duke, big up yourself, Gatesy. It was so informative. And like, y'all were on the point, man. Y'all were on the point. That's why I was commenting so much, man. Y'all were on the point, man. Like, I love that, man. I love that.
Greatly appreciate it, mate. Greatly appreciate
it. Let me ask you all a question, right? Who's been your top hammer this year, and who's disappointed you in the West Ham team?
Okay. Oh wow, that's a good question, dog. That's a good question.
It is a good question.
All right, so who disappointed me? Diop has disappointed me, and who's impressed me is what? Who's impressed me, man? Antonio didn't impress me because I always knew he had it in him. Lingard, I always knew he had it in him. Souček, I always knew Dawson.
Right, Dawson.
Yeah,
what you, James?
Dawson. Like when he came to us, I had a good feeling, but then like I've seen everybody saying like, well, no, he's not the guy, and like I bought into that. But I like honestly, when he came to us, I wasn't getting him mixed up with the Dawson that was at Spurs. Like I knew who he was, a Watford in that, and I was like,
yeah,
okay, like.
Like what, Paige?
Paige, you're frozen.
He's back.
Oh, there he is.
Right, he's back. There he is. Right. What do you reckon, James?
Me?
Yeah, go on, man.
This is actually a very good question, like you're saying, because there's so many names.
It is, isn't it?
For the best, for those players impressed me the most of the season. There's so many names in this. I think Peter's right. We know what Antonio could do. We know what Lingard could do. We knew what Declan Rice could do. So it's no surprise that they're doing really well. But if I had to pick one, I would say Sofal. Because given how unheard of he was, he's everything you want in a right back and then some, because he's just solid, tough, no nonsense player who just gets the job done with no flair, ifs and buts, just gets it done. The player that's impressed me, that's disappointed me the most, that is another tough one. I would say, I'll probably say someone like Yarmolenko.
Right. What about you, Duke? Yeah. What do you reckon?
See, I think
the most disappointing was Yarmolenko.
Not mine, James's. Yeah. For me, I've been impressed. See, Dawson coming in has made me near enough entirely forget about the fact that we tried to bid £30 million for James Tarkowski.
I need Tarkowski.
And I'm looking at how Burnley have performed, and I've looked how poor in the games against us that Tarkowski has been, and I'm kind of thinking that we've dodged the bullet there. Soufal, when we were told that we'd signed a right back for £5 million out of the Czech Republic off the back of a recommendation because he's his mate from Czech. I was a little bit dubious, shall we say, as to why we'd spent £5 million on this guy when you had Fredericks, when you had Johnson in there as well. I've been incredibly impressed by both of those players. To the point that Dawson, if they want to retire the number 6 and give it to Virgil van Dawson, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Disappointed. I've seen there that Dave's put. He's been disappointed by Haller. I knew that I wasn't disappointed by Haller because I knew that's exactly what the sort of player he was. That's exactly what I was expecting him to be. Wasn't surprised by it. Wasn't disappointed by it. He kind of just did exactly what I was expecting from what we saw. Earlier on. Disappointment for me would be. I'd probably say, and this might be a bit. People might not agree with me. Balbuena, I was really kind of hoping to see Balbuena really push on this season. I think he's got, he really proved in some games last season when he came in. He played quite well. He's been quite a solid player. And I was kind of hoping he'd push on again this season. Same with Diop. They would be, Diop had a £60 million season last year. He's at 20 million quid this season. So for me, I'd say Balbuena's my biggest disappointment, and I'd certainly it's a toss up between Dawson and Soufal for the biggest surprise person in that scene.
What's yours, Rob?
Well, I think biggest disappointment. If we're talking just people that are still at the club, it's probably Yarmolenko for me. Part of it's been down to his injuries, and that's not his fault. So maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. Yeah. But I think even when he's sort of like taking the injuries to one side, he's very, very much up and down. You're never quite sure whether you're going to get a sort of like a match-winning performance out of him, or you're going to be playing with 10 men. It's sort of like there's no in between. It seems to me. If I could include someone that's not at the club, then it probably would be in Haller. In terms of sort of like the best, sort of like the better players, I mean, it's a pretty long list if I sort of sit down and think. It's really difficult, and maybe for different reasons. Maybe not all of it's necessarily what you see on the pitch. Maybe some of it is what I see when the game's done, and sort of like things from the training pitch and all the rest of it. Like Declan Rice, for example. I mean, not just even when sort of like he has a game where he's maybe not his normal 8, 9 out of 10 performance, and maybe he's operating at say a 7 or something like that. You still see sort of like the leadership that he brings. He's driving the troops on and all the rest of it, and he's very much, the driving force behind the team on the pitch as David Moyes is off the pitch. You've got Angelo Ogbonna, you've got Craig Dawson. I mean, Craig Dawson, I don't think there was a fan that when he walked through the door went, "Yay, we've got Craig Dawson." Everyone was like, "Really?" You know, and obviously up till the new year, he didn't kick a ball. And we're sitting there thinking, well, this is a really good sort of like loan deal. Why don't we just send him back, you know, and free up a loan spot? He then gets his opportunity and you're like, wow, actually, this guy's pretty decent sort of thing. And now he's one of the first names on the team sheet. I mean, Vladimir Soufal, £5 million for a fullback. And, you know, people are saying he's the best right back at West Ham since Ray Stewart. Cresswell, I mean, for me, I like Tim Breaker. I mean, if you saw my Hammers 11, I actually had him as my my right fullback. But you know, but I mean, some people go back even further and sort of like say, no, he's the best right fullback since Ray Stewart.
So you got to pick one though, Rob.
Thomas Repka was good, man.
Yeah. He wasn't bad, but the problem with him is he could get sent off quite regularly.
Yeah, but Rob, you got to pick one person.
I always loved him.
This is tough, James. This is tough. I mean, it's a long list.
Straight up.
It's a long list. If I had to pick someone, it's probably going to be Thomas Souček, because I just think without his goals and without him partnering Declan Rice and sort of like giving maybe Rice the license to get forward on occasion, and then sort of like vice versa. And just even if it's just for sort of like what he did in the Spurs game, where he had his head cut open, and instead of him flailing around and screaming like some other players might do, his first thought was to get back up and defend the second ball. I mean, the guy
Terry Butcher things,
literally
Julian Dixon.
He's a T-800. He's Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator. He's the T-800 sent back in time. And they've put a claret and blue shirt on him, and he's playing in midfield for us. So if I have to pick something, check.
Yeah.
What about you, James? What's yours?
Mine would be, you're going to be a bit controversial, this one. Disappointment this year is Bowen for me. I think Bowen hasn't... I was expecting Bowen to come on strong this year, and he's been a bit hit and miss. Like, if that boy looked up when he was running with the ball and he would feed people at the right times, he would be really, really good. And he'd be really high up. But it just says, the reason why I'm disappointed with him this year, because I know there's a player there. There is a player in there, but it's just, he's up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So I'd have to give it to Bowen, like, just purely on that. Like, because there's been times before this season where he's been in key positions where he's had to pass the ball and he's gone for a shot. He's done silly little things, but I'm going to give him benefit of that because he's learning. The top player for me is Kafal, mate. I'm sorry, but 5.4 million. You come over from a different country. You play him right back. He come on against Leicester and he kept that role. And as soon as he come on against Leicester, I went, this geezer knows how to play that position. And for 5.4 million to get a Champions League right back, because that's what he was at Slavia Prague, and that was in the Champions League. And he's the best right back I've ever seen at West Ham since going back to Tim Breaker. And
sorry to interrupt you, Duke, but my father says the exact same thing. My father says the exact same thing. Soufal, man.
Yeah. To me, he's just. He brings a breath of fresh air. I spoke to you lads the other week. He brings a bit of skullfuggery to it, like as I said about what he done to Grealish. Like, and he gets stuck in. He don't mind taking a booking. Like he lives and breathes it, sort of thing, and that's what we've needed, especially in that sort of defensive position. So yeah, it's got to be Kafal for me. And I'll leave it on this one because I'll go have to shoot. But if you was to rate Moyes now, what would you rate him out of 10?
7.
10.
Got 7.
10. Like, come on, man.
Oh.
10. We're like that close away from the Champions League, dog. 10. That's me, though. That's me.
I think if we're just going up to the 25 games that we've played this season, see, I'm a real fussy so-and-so. I think if it was a 10, I'd be sort of saying, well, it'd be 10 if we were first. So I'm probably gonna give him a 9, solid 9. I think that's decent. You know, for us to be in a Champions League position 25 games in, it's like that is absolutely incredible. As I say, he would have got a 10 if we were first, and maybe I'm being a little bit mean, but you know, I think if you're a 10, you've got to be doing something just beyond
amazing
belief. You know, so I'd go a 9. 9. If I'm allowed to go 9.5, how about that? 9.5.
He's not been perfect.
He's
not been perfect.
We were fighting relegation last season. Come on, Gatesy. Gatesy.
I'll give him a 10.
That's a 10.
I'll give you mine. I'll give him an 8. And the only reason why I'm going to give him an 8, and it would have been more, right? And it would have definitely been more. Is that the fact? If he would have went out and bought or loaned a striker in the winter window, then he would definitely have got a 9 for me. Like, I think we needed another striker in the.
He bought Lingard, dog. Lingard to go, like greatest of all time. What?
Need another striker.
The only thing I'd say to that is how much of that was Moyes' fault and how much of that was the people above him.
That was
what? You got to seize the moment, though, Rob, don't you? Like, this is seize the moment time. You got to like.
Moyes buying Lingard?
No, not getting a striker, Peach.
It took a risk by not signing.
I'm on Forrest for Lions. You know what? Say hello. You know what? Say hello.
Who is
my
it?
Father. I mean, my father died. You know, straight up.
Up the Hammers.
Yo, no. So what were you talking about? Like what? Moyes' thing on Lingard?
No.
Moyes
not getting a striker in January, Peach.
Oh, not buying a striker, but he bought Lingard. Ding ding, hello. But he bought Lingard.
That striker, Peach.
I don't give 2 things there.
Yeah, signing Lingard great.
I don't give 2 things. Homeboy can score 2 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals. We don't need to strike him when we got Lingard.
Right, the problem is here.
There's only one Jesse Lingard. Right. There's only one Jesse Lingard. And West Ham United FC got him. Done though.
Right. In you come, James.
Quick.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm sorry, Pat. Straight up. I'm sorry, Dad.
Nah, I'll tell you what I was going to say. Right, it's just come to me now. What it was, we spent the money on Ben Rama that made it look like we had got a striker in. That was like the misinterpretation of things. You know what I mean? If he would have went out and paid Dawson's loan fee and gone, right, we're signing now 3 million and went a loan to striker, and I would have said I would have given him a 9. I think he's done well. Like, he's £6 million net spend. Like, he's like, and we're 4th in the league. That's something out of like FIFA or something, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Or,
yeah,
you know what I mean? So,
the only thing, and again,
manager,
play devil's advocate a little bit, is how much of it was Moyes' failure and how much of it was the people above him.
I think it's a bit of both.
Him.
I think it's a bit of both.
I don't think it was entirely down to him, and I think possibly it's the sort of like the Scot in him that sort of like he looked and thought he couldn't get value for money in January.
I think when you're getting rid of Haller
till the summer.
I think when you're getting rid of Haller at the start of the window, and then you've got a whole month to try and find a replacement striker, like who's like you can even go and loan a striker.
Yeah.
Like look at the lad who's playing at Fulham, Madger. Yeah, he would have been as a backup. He could have been someone who just to come on, who's there. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously we all know Antonio's injury record is not great. Do you know what I mean? So we're relying on a man whose injury records with hamstrings is very not good. And the common sense thing would have been, right, let's get a backup for him just in case it goes wrong. But obviously the backup was Yarmolenko. Now, as I've said before, like, you can go and score goals for Ukraine against Belarus and Liechtenstein, but you ain't going to do it in the Premier League, I'm afraid. So
no,
yeah, that's the only reason why I'll give give him an 8. What do you reckon, Duke?
I actually, I'm spread right the way across 8, 9, and 10. To be fair, because there's parts of me, you look at where we were last season when he came on board. It weren't looking pretty. He came in, he kept us up. He's performed absolute miracles this year. So there for me, he borders on that 10 out of 10 mark. You saying about him not going out and getting the players that we need, that, like you say, the stubborn. He's actually turned around and said, I didn't want to spend the money. I'm going to save it until January because I couldn't get the player, till the summer because I couldn't get the player I wanted. Yeah, but that won't do us any favours if, like we had, during the cup when Antonio was injured. I'm not saying if Antonio hadn't been injured or if we'd had a strike pitch that would have been a different story. I'm not saying that, but that kind of pushes it down to around the 8 or 9 mark. So if I had to pick, I'd go a 9, just because, again, agreeing what the guys are saying in the chat there as well. His fear of playing against the so-called top 6, that kind of the fear of playing against the bigger clubs, if you will, that kind of negates everything that he's done elsewhere. And we'll see it again on Saturday, no doubt, that he's going up there and he's not necessarily setting up for failure, but he's not setting up to go out there and try and win the game, if you will, because he's worried about how bad it could go. So I think we're sitting at a 9. And what I do believe we need to do, Rob, is I do think we need to call this a day, because we are literally 4 minutes out of 2 hours. And as much as it's fantastic to sit here and talk for 2 hours to a group of guys that just want to talk West Ham, the poor bastards that have been watching this for 2 hours, and I'm sure those 5 were the 5 that were on when we started, they're probably sitting there going, shut up now.
Okay, gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming. Peach?
No, our pleasure as per usual.
Thank you, man.
It's always a pleasure, man. You guys are the lick, man. You guys are the bomb, man. How do you mean, man?
Thanks for coming. Peach. See you next time. Man. Fat boy, look after yourself, mate. And
didn't even give him 30 seconds to say bye.
See you later, mate.
Just kick him out.
He took himself.
Oh, I'll let you off.
No, I'm still here. I'm going nowhere, Don. I'm hurting like those.
He's gone now. He's gone.
Yeah, leave me with the. Leave me. I'll come up with a video for tomorrow about my transfers. You do what you want to do.
All right, mate.
And everyone that's watched, thank you. It's dragged on a little bit longer than I think any of us anticipated. Let's not lie. But I've had some fun. I don't know about you guys. Peach is still there waving in the background.
He's waving at us. There you go, mate.
That's right. Once we come off live, Peach, we'll come and talk to you. But yeah, Gatesy, I'll leave you with the malarkey for.
I've got to press the buttons, have I?
Yeah, go on, you pressing.
All right, guys. Thanks for putting up with us for 2 hours. Usual thing. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon. You'll be notified of any new content as and when we upload it. You can join us at Twitter at Forge Talk, Facebook Forge from Iron. Thank you very much for watching and stay safe. Come on, you Irons.